When a tree grows in the forest, it does not scream for attention. It does not beg the birds to rest in its branches or the wind to acknowledge its existence. It simply stands, tall, rooted, complete. In our modern world, many have forgotten how to stand like that tree. Instead, we spread ourselves too thin. We smile when we don't feel joy. We agree when our spirit says no. We offer our time, our energy, and our presence to those who have not earned it, and we call it kindness. But kindness without clarity becomes confusion. When you give too much, when you are too available, people begin to forget your value. You stop being a person and start becoming a utility, like a tool someone picks up when needed and forgets when done. The more you try to please everyone, the more you disappear. Protecting your value does not mean closing your heart. It means knowing when to open it and to whom. It means understanding that your presence is a gift, not a right. It means saying yes from your strength, not from your fear. Not everyone should have access to your peace. Not everyone deserves the warmth of your energy. The warrior trains not only to fight, but to discern. He chooses when to draw the sword not out of anger, but out of wisdom. In the same way, you must learn to guard your energy. To pause before you give, to ask, is this action aligned with my inner balance, or am I giving to be liked, to be accepted, to be safe? When we become too friendly, we often lose ourselves. We start moving through life like water with no container, spreading everywhere but going nowhere. But water in a vessel can nourish. Water with direction can carve mountains. Be that water, with purpose, with power. Be friendly, yes, but not at the cost of your boundaries. Be kind, but remain grounded. Be generous, but do not be used. Only when you honor yourself will others learn to honor you. Only when you set the boundary will others recognize the worth that lies within it. Stand like the tree, flow like the directed stream, and protect the sacredness of your being. People respect boundaries, not unlimited access. It's a truth we often overlook, especially when we're caught in the habit of giving too much of ourselves in the name of being liked, accepted, or seen as good. But here's the thing: people don't value what they can have too easily. The more accessible you are, the more people subconsciously assume you have nothing better to do. When you say yes to everything, when you're always available, always ready to please, always trying to make everyone else comfortable, you're not being generous. You're abandoning yourself. You may think you're being kind, but what you're actually doing is telling the world, asterisk, my time doesn't matter. My energy has no limits. My needs can wait. Asterisk, and people believe what you tell them, especially when your actions confirm the message. It's not your job to fix everyone's mood. It's not your responsibility to say yes, just because it's uncomfortable to say no. If someone is upset because you set a boundary, that's not a sign that you did something wrong. It's a sign that the boundary was necessary. Some people have gotten used to a version of you that constantly sacrifices your own peace to keep the waters smooth. But you are not here to live a life of quiet resentment masked as politeness. People respect the person who says, "This is where I end and you begin." That's the kind of clarity that builds true trust, not the false comfort of being agreeable at all costs. You don't earn real respect by constantly lowering your standards. You earn it by holding your ground with grace, by being rooted in your worth, whether people clap for it or not. Think about the people you admire not just for their achievements, but for the way they carry themselves. Are they constantly available? Do they rush to fix every problem, to answer every message immediately, to explain themselves 100 times so no one misunderstands them? No, they move with calm conviction. They don't need to be everywhere, do everything, or be everything to everyone. Their value is evident because they don't scatter their energy chasing approval. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. When you treat your time, your space, and your energy as sacred, others begin to mirror that respect. Not everyone will like it, but the right people will, and those who don't, let them walk away. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone should have the privilege of your presence. We often think being needed means being valued, but those are not the same. You can be needed for what you give and still be disrespected as a person. You can be loved for how much you accommodate and still be discarded the moment you stop. That's not love, that's dependency. You teach people how to treat you not by your words, but by the standards you uphold. And boundaries, they are your standards in action. They say, asterisk, I will not shrink to make you more comfortable. Asterisk, they say, asterisk, I care about this relationship, but I care about my peace too. Asterisk, they say, asterisk, you can have access to me, but not at the cost of me. Asterisk, so you need to ask yourself, what kind of energy am I attracting by the way I show up? Am I inviting connection or convenience? Am I surrounding myself with people who respect my value, or people who exploit my availability? Because let's be honest, most people won't check in on your limits if you don't set them. Most people won't notice when you're exhausted if you keep smiling through it. And most people won't pause to ask how you're really doing if you've trained them to believe you're always fine. That's not their fault. That's the rhythm you created. But the good news, you can change the rhythm. You can reclaim the beat. It starts with one no, with one moment of pause, with one choice to not overextend. And then another. You'll feel guilt at first. That's normal. We've been conditioned to associate self-preservation with selfishness. But the truth is, every time you honor your boundary, you're teaching the world that you have something valuable within you, something worth protecting. So stop apologizing for needing space. Stop diluting your presence just to fit into every room. Stop offering discounts on your worth to people who were never meant to afford you. You are not here to be available. You are here to be aligned. You are not here to be liked. You are here to live fully. Protect your value and watch how everything begins to change. Protecting your value requires inner awareness and outer discipline. That's not something most people are taught growing up. We're often told to be kind, be helpful, be there for others, but rarely are we told to sit with ourselves, to listen deeply, and to know who we are without all the noise. Even less are we taught to protect that self with unwavering consistency. You can't protect what you haven't taken the time to understand. That's where inner awareness begins. It's the quiet work, the stillness, the moments when you ask yourself not what others expect from you, but what you expect from yourself. What drains you? What nourishes you? Who are you when no one is watching? And what do you need to stay rooted in that truth? Most people are just reacting to life. They wake up, check their phones, go to work, respond to texts, keep up with expectations, and crash at the end of the day wondering why they feel so lost. That's not awareness. That's autopilot. And when you're on autopilot, you're not choosing, you're complying. But self-awareness changes everything. It gives you clarity. It gives you choice. When you're aware, you're not just doing what's expected. You're doing what's aligned. You can feel it in your body, in your gut. That deep yes, or that subtle no, that rises before your mind starts justifying things. That's your internal compass, and ignoring it over and over. That's how people slowly betray themselves. Not all at once, piece by piece, moment by moment. Discipline is what takes that awareness and anchors it in reality. You can have all the insight in the world, but if you don't act on it, if you don't guard your boundaries, manage your time, say no when you need to, then all that inner clarity stays theoretical. It's like understanding how to swim but refusing to jump in the water. Discipline is not about control. It's not about being harsh. It's about respect. Respecting your time, respecting your energy, respecting the promises you make to yourself even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. There's a version of you that exists only on the other side of consistency. A calmer you, a more focused you. A version of you who knows that every moment spent trying to be everything for everyone is a moment taken away from building something meaningful inside. And don't get it twisted, protecting your value doesn't mean building walls. It means being precise. It means knowing what to give, when to give it, and to whom. When you know your value, you don't spread it thin across people who won't appreciate it. You invest it where it will grow. You become intentional, but that intentionality only lasts if you practice it. Because the world will test you. Opportunities will come dressed as obligations. People will ask for more than you can give. Guilt will whisper that you're selfish. Fear will say you'll be left behind. And this is where discipline comes in, not to shut the world out, but to keep you centered in your truth while you engage with it. It takes discipline to not answer that message right away when you know you need rest. It takes discipline to walk away from a conversation that's draining your spirit. It takes discipline to leave space in your schedule, even when others think it's selfish. And the more you practice it, the stronger your inner foundation becomes. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop explaining yourself to people who aren't trying to understand you. You begin to recognize the subtle power of presence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. Because when you are anchored in self-awareness and backed by self-discipline, you become unshakable. Not because life stops throwing things at you, but because you no longer hand your center over to everything that moves. And let's be honest, there's nothing more powerful than a person who knows their value and lives like it. You can feel it when they walk into a room. They don't need to dominate. They don't need to perform. Their energy is clean. Their yes means yes. Their no means no. And that clarity, it commands respect without ever needing to demand it. So if you want to protect your value, don't start with others. Start with yourself. Learn to listen. Learn to choose. Learn to follow through. Let your awareness guide you and let your discipline hold you. That's where your real power lies, because you are not here to be everywhere. You are here to be deeply rooted somewhere that matters. Being liked by everyone often means you've compromised too much. That's the quiet trap so many of us fall into without even realizing it. We build a version of ourselves based on how others respond. We smooth out the rough edges, hide the uncomfortable truths, play small, stay agreeable, not because it's who we are, but because it's who we think we need to be to avoid conflict, rejection, or judgment, and on the surface it works. You smile, they like you. You say yes, they praise you. You adapt, they accept you. But deep inside, there's a quiet erosion happening. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you chip away at your integrity. Every time you pretend to be okay just to keep the peace, you abandon yourself a little more. And over time, this performance becomes your identity. You don't know where the real you ends and the people pleaser begins. That's the cost of being universally liked. Your truth, your depth, your honesty. You weren't born to be everyone's favorite. You were born to be real. And being real means you're going to disappoint some people. You're going to say things that others don't want to hear. You're going to make choices that don't make sense to someone else's expectations. But none of that makes you wrong. It makes you honest. It makes you whole. Here's the thing. When your goal is to be liked by everyone, you've already lost yourself. Because people have different values, different needs, different filters. You could do everything right, and someone will still misunderstand you. You could be the most generous, loving, giving person in the room, and someone will still find a reason to criticize you. That's not your fault. That's just human nature. Trying to manage everyone's opinion is a full-time job with no salary and no vacation. You'll exhaust yourself trying to live up to every image, every expectation, every assumption. And for what? A temporary nod of approval, a moment of validation that fades as soon as someone else needs something different from you. That's not stability, that's self-erasure. The people who matter, the ones who truly see you, they don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to agree with them all the time. They don't love you because you never make waves. They love you because you show up fully, because you bring something real to the table, something true. And let's be honest, likability is fragile, it's conditional. It's based on the version of you that fits neatly into someone else's narrative. But authenticity, that's solid. It doesn't change with the weather. It doesn't shift just because someone frowns at your boundaries or walks away when you stop performing. You get to decide who you are, not based on applause, not based on acceptance, but based on alignment. You can be kind and still say no. You can be generous and still have limits. You can be loving and still protect your peace. If someone needs you to be less of yourself in order to like you, that's not love. That's control. And you weren't made to be controlled. You were made to grow, to rise, to take up space in the world with your full truth. Not a filtered version. Not a performance, the real thing. So maybe some people won't like you when you stop shrinking. Maybe they'll say you've changed. Maybe they'll call you cold or distant or selfish. Let them say what they need to say, because what matters more is what you're saying to yourself when you look in the mirror. Are you proud of who you are? Are you standing in your integrity? Are you living a life that feels like asterisk, yours asterisk? That's the measure. Not how many people clap when you speak, but how true your voice feels when it leaves your mouth. Not how many people approve of your choices, but how at peace you feel when you make them. It's easy to blend in. It's easy to be agreeable, but it takes courage to be clear, to be steady, to choose truth over comfort. So stop chasing the crowd. Stop softening your edges to fit into rooms that weren't built for the full version of you. Because being liked by everyone is a sign that you've watered yourself down, and you are not here to be a diluted version of your own soul. You are here to be seen clearly, not just accepted passively.